Hello and welcome to the Sacred Priestess Podcast, where I help beautiful awakening women connect to their divine feminine power to find clarity, connection, and confidence in their spiritual healing journey so that you can step into the beautiful woman you came here to be and shine your light on the world. I'm Hayley. Thank you so much for being here wherever you are, whatever you're doing. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and connect with you. And today we're actually talking about how to find clarity, connection, and confidence in your spiritual journey and what this actually means, what these things actually bring forward for us, and how we can actually start bringing them into our lives as we want to be activating that divine feminine power, but also really grounding in and embodying spiritual practices, embodying the priestess path so that we can bring these 3 C's into our life. We really do want to move with clarity in what we're doing, connection to ourselves and others, and the confidence that we know that we're going to be able to get through to the other side of whatever healing is coming up for us. And as we do this, we really do step into our personal power. We do step into the life, the blueprint that we actually came here to live, that highest timeline of abundance. And we want to really claim our space in the world and be unapologetic about what we want for ourselves and what we want as we do awaken and step into this beautiful new path and into expansion. So yes, we are going to talk about those 3 C's today and what they actually mean in terms of the Sacred Priestess Mystery School, why they're so important, why it's important to find these things for your journey, and what we can do to start bringing these energies forward and into the path that we're walking. So the first C is clarity. And so what does clarity mean for us? What is it when we have clarity? It's clarity in who we are. So we know who we are. We know what makes us tick. We're aware of all of our, little limiting beliefs that pop up, our little childhood stuff that pops up. We are very clear on the things that trigger us, our opinions. We get very clear on who we are in terms of our perceived flaws, but also we get very clear on those things that are awesome about us, our resilience, our persistence, our determination, our love, our kindness. And so we step into this divine feminine path and we start really embodying these practices. This is some of the clarity that comes forward. We also become very clear on what we want from our lives, what we want our lives to look like, what that highest timeline is like, what our abundance looks like to us, whether it's, abundance in health, wealth, connection and love and family and adventure. So we also become very clear and we gain clarity on our purpose and our dharma. We get clear on what our soul-led service is as we walk this path and as we walk through this life. And the other thing that we want clarity on and that we gain clarity on as we do embody these practices is our direction. And the beautiful Athena brings through this in the Sacred Priestess Mystery School and in the initiation where we work with her. She brings through, direction, strategy, patience. She brings through being able to be detached so that we can have that clear direction and clarity, because we don't want to be mixed up in all emotional chaos. We want to, in order for us to be clear, we have to have that detachment from what brings us the lack of clarity, which is what we're going to talk about, which is a lot of our lack of clarity does come from being swept up in the emotional chaos. It comes from, when we do bring that healing up, when that healing comes up to the surface, we do get caught up in that whirlwind of emotion that surfaces, of course, because that's part of the healing. But when we step into clarity, when we gain clarity in these situations, the direction out of it becomes easier. It becomes easier for us to find. It becomes easier for us to work through. The other reason we lack in clarity is because we let other people get in our heads. We take on too many opinions from other people. We start, like I said, allowing that past trauma, that past life stuff, that ancestral stuff to be at the forefront of what we're doing and the direction that we're going in. rather than standing in a little bit more soul sovereignty. And so when we step into this divine feminine, when we walk with these teachings of the priestess path, when we start bringing in clarity of who we are, clarity in what we want, clarity in our purpose and our direction, it is so much easier when we meet these moments to, like I said, stand in sovereignty and allow these opinions to just get moved out, pushed to the side, so that we can find that, like I said, that soul sovereignty, and then walk forward with clarity in all of these spaces. So the next C is connection. So what does connection mean in terms of this? How do we, bring forward that connection? So in the Sacred Priestess Mystery School, when we talk about connection and how this path brings us connection, it brings us connection to self. It brings us self-awareness. It brings us self-knowledge. It allows us to have connection to our own feelings, to noticing what drains us, noticing what lights us up, noticing what healing's coming up for us. So it's really about connection to self, to soul. It also brings connection to spirit. It brings connection to our guides, our angels, our different aspects of self, our galactic friends and God and source, whatever that looks like for you or however you label that. And it also brings connection in terms of sisterhood, in terms of actually being able to step up and allow yourself to be held and seen and witnessed, and giving you the opportunity to see others, to hold others, and to witness others in their journey as well. So that is our connection and what that brings forward for us. And the reason that we don't have a lot of connection, again, is because we are not really taught to be self-aware. Again, it's about other people in our past, in our history, telling us what we should be doing, telling us the kind of person that we are, telling us where we fit in. Also, we don't have a lot of trust in ourselves because of that. And we don't have a lot of connection to spirit because of trust within spirit, trusting in ourselves to connect, trusting in ourselves that we're bringing through the right messages, that we're getting it right, that we're actually really seeing, healing, feeling something from spirit. And then with that sisterhood, I mean, we could seriously go forever on the sisterhood wound. The sisterhood wound comes through from the witch wound time, the witch times and witch wounding, because we ended up having to dob each other in because we didn't want to be killed. We didn't want to be persecuted. So not only did our sisters, dob us in, that's a very Australian phrase, to authorities, but we did that to our sisters as well. So we don't feel deserving of having sisterhood because of the way we behaved back then in those past lives, or even in ways that you've behaved in this life. Maybe in school you had friends who were running off on another friend and you kind of just joined in, even though you knew it was wrong, you knew it was bad, and you didn't want to do it, but you didn't want to be ostracized from those friends either. And so you did the same thing. And so we have all of this guilt around sisterhood. So what the Priestess Path starts to bring in is that beautiful connection into that. So connection into self, connection into spirit, connection into sisterhood. So connecting into self, like I said, comes a lot around self-awareness, acknowledgement of your feelings, noticing what drains you, noticing what lights you up. And to step into more of this, you can just journal. So if you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Like, are you energetically tired? Are you physically tired? How are you actually feeling? Do you have some sadness in there coming up? Are you a bit angry? And then think about, okay, well, what's happened in the last 24 hours? What happened at work? What's happened with my family? Did I get enough sleep last night? How have I eaten today? How many cups of coffee or tea have I had today? Have I drunk any, of those V drinks or whatever? I don't drink them. I don't know what they're called, but those like Red Bully type drinks today, and start noticing if there's any patterns in the things that you're doing physically, emotionally, what's going on in your life that are draining you. But also on the other side, what lights you up. If you're having a really good day, did you get a lot of sleep? Have you been around like-minded people today? Have you been out and had a little adventure and gotten out of the house and done something really fun and exciting? Have you been out in the sun more? Or have you been connecting to nature more? So really starting to notice what these things are, but also noticing shadow and light, meeting yourself when you're in the shadow, making sure that you're bringing love and compassion into that, which is something that Goddess Aphrodite brings through to us in the Mystery School and in the Sacred Priestess Initiation. She teaches us and shows us how important it is to hold compassion for ourselves in our shadow, to meet ourselves with love as we, sort of, for want of a better word, battle those shadows. So, just acknowledging and noticing all of those things. So, learning how to receive messages as we talk about connection to spirit. So, learning how you do that. I believe that we all have all of the clairs. For those of you who don't know much about the clairs, I do have a podcast way back down there somewhere about the clairs, the 8 clairs. So, clairvoyance. So, whether you see, feel, hear, or know through your messages. So really learning to know how that works for you. You will have prominent ones. So it might be that you get feelings with your physical body, like shivers or cold spots or hot flushes, or places within your body light up, like maybe in your head or your stomach. You may get it through feelings. So you may be, clear empathy, where you feel sadness or you feel joy or you feel happiness or frustration. You may get messages coming through your third eye in terms of imagination and what you're seeing. Some people hear, some people just know things. So getting to understand how yours works and what are your predominant clairs is going to start helping you get a better connection to spirit. But again, that comes also down to connection to self and being self-aware of what comes through to you and how it comes through. Notice if you are blaming source, spirit, the universe, your guides and angels for anything. We talked about this again in last week's podcast with reclaiming your power. If you are blaming the universe or God or your guides and angels for the lessons that keep coming up in your life, for the things that are going wrong for you, you're not going to have a very great relationship with them. You're not going to get a lot of answers from them. I need you to remember that source and spirit do not do your lessons for you. Everything comes from you. You are the creator. So if you have lessons and things, just going on a little side tangent about this and blaming universe, blaming God, blaming guides and angels for the things that are going wrong for you, the universe is a responder, not a creator. You are the creator. So every lesson that comes to you, every perceived wrongness that is happening to you, it is coming because of your beliefs, your energy, your vibration, your habits, your choices. And so then what happens is all of that goes out and it just brings back the same thing again. And until you start changing your vibration, changing your habits, changing your choices, then things are not going to change. And so if you're blaming spirit for this, if you're blaming God, blaming the universe for this, it's really going to stand in the way of your connection and the messages that can come through to you from these beings. So the next thing is just working on your relationship with spirit. So, pulling your cards out often, sitting in meditation and asking them to come forward. Working in ritual with the goddesses for them to come forward, doing classes or circles where, you do connect with spirit, like psychic circles and things like that. That's going to really help you in that. And then with the sisterhood wounding, just start getting into circle. If you want a better connection with sisterhood, get into circle. And it doesn't have to be a spiritual circle. It doesn't have to be a self-development circle. It can be anything where you're getting together with people who are like-minded and enjoy the same things. It can be a knitting club, a yoga class, a dance class, an exercise class, anything that, lights you up and where you can connect with people who are doing the same thing. So that's connection. So the next thing is confidence, and bringing confidence into your spiritual journey as we walk this path. And confidence is just really about your ability to get shit done. It's your confidence in your ability to know that you know what you're doing. It's that self-worth, it's that self-belief, it's that self-confidence in knowing that whatever comes up for you, and this is so amazing, like just the beauty that getting to know yourself on this priestess path and within these teachings, the confidence that it brings in who you are and what you're capable of is amazing. And when you have that confidence in yourself, no matter what comes up for you in your healing, in your life, when you know that you have the tools and the ability and the know-how and the wisdom to move through the other side, even if it's still uncomfortable, and even that, having confidence in the fact that you're able to just feel into your into your uncomfortable feelings and still get through the other side, I think this is the greatest C that comes with it, right? So yeah, and the confidence to be unapologetic about what it is that you actually want for your life. To stand and say, well, I do want more money. I do want better health. I do want to look great in a pair of jeans. I do want my family to be able to sit in a room together and have a great time. You know, I do want to be able to go on this holiday that I've always wanted to go on, and to stand in that and to have the confidence to know that you can make it happen. And I think activating divine feminine power and stepping into this in this priestess path, embodying these techniques, like I said, this is one of the most amazing things that you can step into, this confidence in self like that. And so how do we do that, and how do we manage to step into confidence and gain confidence in ourselves? And I think a lot of it is about gathering the tools. And I think the more foundational tools that you have in terms of meditations you can do, rituals you can do, getting out your oracle cards, learning practices to do ancestral healing, to do past life collapse and akashic collapse. All of these tools that you have are going to give you the opportunity that when healing does come up, you can find that clarity and go, okay, you can tap into that intuition, tap into self, tap into source and spirit, get that connection, or go into, if you are in a spiritual group, and say, okay, this is what's coming up for me, who's got some tools that, have got them through this before. And when you have those tools, you have that confidence to know you're going to get to the other side. And like I said, that's with going into the sisterhood, rituals, meditations, all those things like ancestral collapse that you can do. So yeah, having all of those things. I mean, in the Priestess School, we work with the 7 keys of the Priestess Path. It is a framework, like a foundational toolkit for you to connect with these goddesses, and they all bring through different keys that help you in different aspects of your healing, of your path, of self-knowledge and self-gnosis. So yeah, these keys that they bring through, and having these foundational tools brings you confidence in your ability to meet your healing where it is at and get through the other side. So that is finding clarity, connection, and confidence in your path, and how the divine feminine path and how the priestess teachings can bring that forward for you, so that you can, like I said in the beginning, step into the woman that you came here to be, shine your light on the world, be unapologetic about who you are, step into your power, find your voice, and really, live life to the fullest, really, in the way that you want to. So yeah, that's all for today. That's what, we came here to chat about. And if you do want to learn a little bit more about the Priestess Path, a little bit more about what I do to help you find clarity, connection, and confidence in your path, you can go to hayleyhughes.com.au. So you'll find some free resources there and some small offerings. And you can also learn about the Sacred Priestess Initiation, which is the 8-week program where we work with the goddesses, learn about these 7 keys to the Priestess Path that really do help you find all of these things in your awakening journey. or you can find me, I'll put the link also in the show notes to my private Facebook group and to my Instagram account, so you can come and find me there, chat, ask me anything that you like. You can write something in the comments here, share this podcast with other awakening women that you may know, and help them step into their clarity, connection, and confidence on their priestess path and on their awakening journey. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, and I will see you again next week. Bye.